Marvin was tough. He was personally tough. He was a tough actor in his roles and one of the great voices, speaking and acting voices ever in Hollywood films.
Being dangled off a cliff might be the most extreme work-related conflict in history. Shockingly, Lee Marvin was at the center of it all. Known for his tough persona and exceptional acting talent, Marvin was a hot cake in the entertainment industry. Yet, he had people who would never work with him again. What did he do? And how did these events unfold? Join us as we discuss what exactly Lee Marvin did that made his co-star refuse to work with him. Hollywood Ultimate Tough Guy. Lee Marvin wasn't your typical Hollywood actor. With his deep voice and prematurely white hair, he had a striking presence that made him stand out from the crowd. Known for playing tough, no-nonsense characters,
You know, he identified Malone from a picture. Now I want to see if he can pick him out of a crowd.
You're not going to put Malone in the lineup.
Of course not. Malone's got a box at the ballpark. I'm going to let Fred point him out while the Cubs are playing ball.
Marvin first gained attention as the villain audiences loved to despise. Over time, he broke out of that mold, becoming famous for acting as complex anti-heroes, characters who lived in the gray area between good and bad. One of his earliest successes was the TV series M Squad, where he played the determined Detective Lieutenant Frank Ballinger. From that point on, Marvin's career took off. Marvin's roles in movies like The Dirty Dozen and Point Blank featured his rugged charisma and intense screen presence. In The Dirty Dozen, he played a gruff major, tasked with leading a team of misfit soldiers on a dangerous mission, cementing his status as a leading man. But Marvin wasn't just about action and grit. In the comedy Cat Ballou, he surprised everyone by playing two very different roles: a washed-up drunken gunslinger and a cunning outlaw. His hilarious and unforgettable performance won him an Academy Award for Best Actor, as well as other prestigious awards like the Golden Globe and BAFTA. This film proved Marvin was more than a tough guy. He was a versatile actor with a unique ability to combine being rugged with humor. Marvin's life off-screen was as colorful as the characters he played. Born in New York City, he came from a family that has deep historical roots. He was distantly related to Confederate General Robert E. Lee and even the first United States President, George Washington. Despite this impressive lineage, Marvin's childhood was far from glamorous. He had little interest in school and often found himself in trouble. While other kids focused on their studies, Marvin preferred to spend his time outdoors. Growing up in Florida, he loved hunting deer, wild turkeys, and even bobcats in the uncharted Everglades. These early experiences gave him a love for adventure and a toughness that would later define his acting style. Marvin's rebellious nature didn't make him an ideal student. He was expelled from several schools for skipping classes, smoking, and getting into fights. Eventually, he attended Peekskill Military Academy in New York, where he began to learn discipline. Later, he enrolled at St. Leo College Preparatory School in Florida, where he started to think more seriously about his future. These formative experiences shaped Marvin's career in unexpected ways. His natural toughness, refined during his wild childhood, made him believable in tough roles. But he also brought humor and vulnerability to his characters, creating a combination that set him apart. Whether he was playing a soldier, a hitman, or a cowboy, Marvin brought authenticity and talent to every performance. He wasn't just an actor. He was a larger-than-life personality whose legacy continues to inspire audiences today. Despite his rebellious nature while growing up, he turned out to be an accountable person. How exactly did he do this? From battlefield hero to Hollywood legend. On August 12, 1942, Marvin enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. Although he started as a quartermaster, his role soon turned extraordinary. Marvin became a scout sniper in the 4th Marine Division, serving in the dangerous Pacific Theater during the Second World War. His missions included major assaults on Kwajalein, Eniwetok, and the fierce battles of Saipan and Tinian. As a member of I Company, 3rd Battalion, Marvin participated in an astonishing 21 amphibious landings on Japanese-controlled islands. His courage was tested to the limit during the Battle of Saipan on June 18, 1944. While leading an assault on Mount Tapachau, machine gun fire tore through him, severing his sciatic nerve. Moments later, a sniper's bullet struck his foot. Despite the intense pain and chaos, Marvin survived, even as most of his company became casualties. After over a year of recovery in naval hospitals, Marvin was honorably discharged as a private first class. Interestingly, he had previously held the rank of corporal, but was demoted for troublemaking. A hint of the rebellious spirit he carried throughout his life. For his courage, Marvin received a collection of prestigious awards, including the Purple Heart, the Presidential Unit Citation, the Combat Action Ribbon, and several others. These decorations highlighted his unwavering bravery and dedication. When the war ended, Marvin's life took a shocking change. While working as a plumber's assistant in Woodstock, New York, fate intervened. He stepped in to replace an ill actor during a rehearsal, and the stage bug bit him hard. Inspired by this new passion, he moved to Greenwich Village and used the GI Bill to study acting at the American Theater Wing. Marvin's acting career began modestly with roles in theater and television.
Early 70s, we're doing a movie called Pocket Money with Paul Newman and Lee Marvin. And we were somewhere on the border of Mexico, Nogales. It was on this side.
But his rugged authenticity, shaped by his wartime experiences, set him apart. He quickly became known for his intensity, especially in war dramas, where he often guided directors and co-stars in making scenes realistic. Hollywood soon took notice. Marvin's film debut came in You're in the Navy Now, alongside future legends Charles Bronson and Jack Warden. From there, he appeared in several westerns and action-packed roles, gaining acclaim for his menacing villains. In The Big Heat, he played a chilling antagonist, and in The Wild One, he squared off against Marlon Brando. By the mid-1950s, Marvin was a sought-after star, with notable roles in Bad Day at Black Rock and 7 Men from Now. But it wasn't until the 1960s that he truly became a household name. In The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, Marvin played the vicious Liberty Valance, sharing the screen with John Dwayne and James Stewart. His menacing performance left audiences captivated. The 1960s also brought Marvin his biggest breakthrough: the offbeat comedy western Cat Ballou, where he played dual roles and won an Academy Award for Best Actor. Marvin continued to dominate with roles in The Professionals and The Dirty Dozen, where his portrayal of a tough, no-nonsense commander drew directly from his own military experience. Later, in Point Blank, he cemented his status as a trailblazer of gritty, modern cinema. Though Marvin's career had ups and downs, his legacy as both a war hero and a Hollywood icon remains unmatched. From the battlefields of the Pacific to the silver screen, Marvin lived a life defined by resilience, courage, and an undeniable magnetism that still fascinates audiences today. If Lee Marvin truly possessed exceptional talent, why would anyone hesitate to collaborate with him? Let's explore the imperfections that led to strained professional relationships. An on-set beef. Burton Stephen Lancaster was an American actor who built a remarkable career in Hollywood. He became known for his portrayal of tough characters who also had a vulnerable side. Lancaster's career spanned over 45 years, and he earned a reputation as one of the most talented actors of his generation. He received 4 Academy Award nominations for Best Actor, winning once for his powerful performances. Additionally, he took home 2 BAFTA Awards and a Golden Globe for Best Lead Actor. His legacy was cemented when the American Film Institute ranked him as the 9th greatest male star of classic Hollywood cinema. Lancaster's career was defined by versatility, often playing tough characters with a sensitive heart. Still, as his career progressed, he began to take on more complex and challenging roles that showcased his depth as an actor. However, behind the scenes, Lancaster was known for his strong sense of professionalism and discipline, traits that would later play a role in a memorable confrontation with his co-star, Lee Marvin, during the filming of The Professionals. Lee Marvin, who was known for his tough guy persona both on and off the screen, was a heavy drinker. His drinking habits became a significant issue while filming The Professionals, causing tension between him and Lancaster. Burt Lancaster, who took his work very seriously, was physically powerful and always came to the set prepared and sober. Marvin's frequent drunkenness on set began to wear on Lancaster, and it finally pushed him to the edge. One day, as the story goes, Lancaster had had enough. According to crew members who were present at the time, Lancaster grabbed Marvin, lifted him off the ground, and dangled him over the edge of a cliff. With a furious tone, Lancaster warned Marvin, "If you show up drunk again, I swear to God I'll throw you off this mountain." The act was a bold move from Lancaster, showing just how serious he was about maintaining a professional environment on set. He wasn't about to tolerate Marvin's behavior anymore, especially when it was affecting the film's progress. Now, Lee Marvin was no stranger to tough situations. He had served as a combat Marine during the Second World War and was known as one of Hollywood's hardest and most intimidating actors. But Marvin, understanding the power and seriousness behind Lancaster's words, wasn't foolish enough to challenge him. From that point on, Marvin reportedly showed up completely sober for every scene, realizing that Lancaster meant business. In the end, the 2 actors, despite their differences, respected each other deeply. Lancaster's tough stance with Marvin didn't diminish the camaraderie they shared. It was just another chapter in the complex dynamic between 2 larger-than-life personalities. Although Burt Lancaster had his conflicts with Lee Marvin on set, it was his relationship with a particular woman that earned him a fierce enemy. What exactly happened? A relationship turned sour. Michelle Triola's journey to fame and legal notoriety began in 1933 in Chicago. After the Second World War, her family moved to Los Angeles, where Michelle, like many others, dreamed of a Hollywood career. A talented singer and dancer, she dedicated her time to perfecting her craft, even skipping college to focus on her passion. By her early 20s, Michelle was performing as a featured dancer in prestigious venues like Las Vegas and Reno, building a reputation for her skill and dedication. At 27, she married actor Skip Ward, but quickly divorced after realizing their marriage wasn't built to last. Determined to make a name for herself, Michelle spent a year performing in European nightclubs, earning substantial pay before returning to Hollywood in 1964. That same year, she landed a small role as a dancer in Ship of Fools, hoping it would lead to bigger opportunities. Instead, this role brought her into the orbit of actor Lee Marvin, sparking a 6-year relationship that would ultimately change her life. Michelle and Marvin quickly grew close, with him moving into her Hollywood Hills apartment shortly after they began dating. Together, they lived a glamorous lifestyle, traveling to Mexico and settling into a $250,000 Malibu beach house, which Michelle decorated herself. Despite her ambitions, Michelle largely put her career on hold to support Marvin, even recording a song, "Promise Me Your Love," but abandoning promotion to follow him to England. By 1966, when Marvin won an Oscar for Cat Ballou, Michelle stood proudly by his side. In 1970, Michelle legally changed her last name to Marvin as a sign of her commitment. However, later that year, Marvin ended their relationship and married his high school sweetheart, Pamela Feely. Heartbroken and out of work, Michelle struggled to resume her singing career. At 37, with years away from the spotlight, she found it difficult to secure gigs. To make ends meet, she took on odd jobs like watering plants and typing scripts before landing a $125 per week secretarial position at the William Morris Agency, the same agency that had once represented her as a performer. Initially, Marvin agreed to pay Michelle $833 per month for 5 years to help her rebuild her life. However, he stopped payments after 14 months, accusing her of spreading rumors about his new marriage. Determined to seek justice, Michelle worked with attorney Marvin Mitchelson to file a groundbreaking lawsuit seeking financial compensation for her contributions during their relationship. The case lasted 11 weeks and garnered widespread attention, drawing support from feminist groups and legal advocates. Although the trial left Michelle in the spotlight, she eventually moved into a modest apartment in Beverly Hills and began a new career as a talent agent. While making enemies is inevitable, Lee Marvin also earned the respect of many renowned figures in the industry. What did they have to say about him? Relationship with John Dwayne. John Wayne and Lee Marvin, two legendary actors, were just as captivating off-screen as it was on screen. They worked together on 3 films, 2 of which were directed by the iconic John Ford. Their chemistry was electric, yet each had a distinct presence. Lee Marvin's first wife described their contrasting personas beautifully. Wayne, on screen, was like a mighty bear, steady, commanding, and larger than life. Marvin, on the other hand, was more like a sleek panther, graceful, unpredictable, and ready to strike at any moment. Their off-screen relationship was equally engaging. Despite their differences, Wayne and Marvin shared immense respect for one another. There's a story, shared by Ken and Wynn's son, that sheds light on their camaraderie and Wayne's tough personality. Marvin and Wynn once went on a wild drinking spree and ended up partying on Wayne's yacht in Mexico. At first, Wayne didn't mind their company, but his patience eventually wore thin. Without hesitation, he threw the unruly duo off his yacht and into the Gulf of Mexico, making it clear that even legends have their limits. Marvin's rise as the grandfather of modern action heroes became evident with his role in The Killers. Directed by Don Siegel, who later helped shape Clint Eastwood's career, the film marked a turning point. Marvin's anti-hero persona took center stage, and his tough, no-nonsense demeanor set the blueprint for action stars to follow. His famous line, "Lady, I don't have the time," was a precursor to iconic phrases like Eastwood's, "Go ahead, make my day." Marvin's influence extended beyond dialogue. His physicality and improvisations added depth to his roles. For instance, in The Killers, he performed a challenging scene without protective padding, proving his dedication and toughness, even while grappling with personal struggles like drinking and marital issues. Interestingly, The Killers was initially intended to be the first made-for-TV movie, but was deemed too violent, especially in the wake of John F. Kennedy's incident. The film was shelved and later released in theaters, where it became a hit. Marvin's portrayal of an anti-hero, a morally complex figure who didn't fit the traditional mold of a hero, was groundbreaking. He wasn't someone you'd admire or want to meet in real life, yet his character's complexity and rawness were captivating. What legacy did Lee Marvin leave behind? A long-lasting legacy. In many ways, Marvin's legacy paved the way for modern action heroes. From Charles Bronson in Death Wish to Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver, elements of Marvin's influence can be seen in their performances. His work in The Killers was ahead of its time, redefining the anti-hero archetype and leaving a lasting mark on cinema. Marvin, as John and Dwayne discussed, embodied the archetype of an anti-hero, a character who walked his own path, often disregarding societal norms or moral expectations. His roles often reflected this. Whether playing a killer with his own code or a soldier struggling with the horrors of war, Marvin brought authenticity. Dwayne pointed out the influence of The Killers on filmmakers like Quentin Tarantino, whose signature dialogue mirrored the casual, sharp exchanges between Marvin and co-stars in that film. Despite its modest budget, the movie has gained recognition over the years, proving its enduring impact. In their discussion, John Dwayne talked about Marvin's personal beliefs and politics, which were far from the on-screen personas that fans sometimes confused with his real-life identity. Unlike John Wayne's conservative leanings, Marvin was more liberal, advocating for progressive causes like women's rights and even gay rights, uncommon for his generation. However, he also held strong opinions on certain issues, such as gun ownership, shaped by his experiences and the history he witnessed. His nuanced stance reveals a man who could not be boxed into simple labels. Marvin's collaborations with director Robert Aldrich showcased a shared work ethic, focused, no-nonsense, and efficient. Films like The Dirty Dozen and Emperor of the North were the result of this alignment. Marvin's disdain for overanalyzing roles and his rejection of method acting didn't hinder his ability to work with some of the best in the industry, including Marlon Brando. Their mutual respect defied the supposed rivalry, with Marvin even recounting a humorous moment when Brando babysat for him. One of Marvin's proudest works, Hell in the Pacific.
I'm a big admirer of Lee Marvin. I think most people are. He's a most talented actor. He's currently starring along with Oliver Reed in Great Scout and Cathouse Thursday.
Showed his views on war and human conflict. Despite the film's lack of commercial success, Marvin cherished its message and the opportunity to work with Toshiro Mifune, whom he greatly admired. Their collaboration overcome language barriers, relying on mutual respect and professional chemistry. This film, though challenging to create due to its international production crew and communication difficulties, remained dear to Marvin. Perhaps the most telling story about Marvin was how he championed John Boorman during the making of Point Blank. Despite his newfound stardom, Marvin handed over complete creative control to the relatively inexperienced director, showing his trust and belief in Boorman's vision. It's a gesture that few stars of his stature would have made, cementing his legacy not just as a talented actor, but as a generous and collaborative artist. While discussing fascinating tidbits about Lee Marvin, John brought up an unexpected topic: Lee's deep love for blues music. Dwayne, clearly excited, agreed, saying that discovering this passion was a delightful surprise for him too. It turned out that nearly everyone Dwayne interviewed had stories about Lee playing his cherished blues records for them. This love for blues wasn't something widely known, making it a hidden gem of Lee's personality. When asked about Lee's favorite musicians, Dwayne shared an amusing anecdote from Lee's honeymoon. According to Lee's wife, Betty, he packed not just his fishing tackle, but also his beloved blues records. Icons like Robert Johnson and Blind Lemon Jefferson were among his favorites. Lee's son, Christopher, added an intriguing tale of his father hopping freight trains as a young man, even claiming he once shared a ride with Blind Lemon Jefferson. Dwayne admitted he found this a bit hard to believe since Jefferson passed away in the late 1920s, but it shows Lee's love for blues culture. His passion for music extended beyond blues. Dwayne recounted a story from Lee's time on M Squad. In its first season, the show's music was bland, but once Lee became a producer, he brought in Count Basie to compose a lively jazz score. The new soundtrack was a hit, selling out quickly, and Lee himself wrote the album's liner notes. Christopher also revealed that Lee appreciated rock musicians with blues influences, including artists from the British Invasion and Jimi Hendrix. The conversation then turned to Lee's unique legacy. Dwayne described the Sons of Lee Marvin, a secretive group started by filmmaker Jim Jarmusch. Members, including Tom Waits and Nick Cage, were not only Lee Marvin fans, but also shared a resemblance to the actor. Dwayne found this tribute unlike any other fan group dedicated to iconic stars like John Wayne or Marilyn Monroe. He marveled at how Lee's rugged individuality continued to inspire creative minds long after his passing. John then changed the topic, mentioning Lee's on-screen and off-screen chemistry with Angie Dickinson. Dwayne shared that a bartender who often saw them together noticed a special connection between the two. Angie, however, felt that Lee's shyness around women might have held him back from expressing his feelings fully. She admitted she was flattered by the idea, wondering what might have been if Lee had been more open about his emotions. As the conversation progressed into Lee's film career, Dwayne highlighted his preference for roles that emphasized grit and darkness over romance. Unlike many actors, Lee consistently portrayed tough, mysterious characters with violent pasts, steering clear of conventional romantic leads. Dwayne admired how Lee stayed true to this image throughout his career. Finally, the discussion touched on Lee's Academy Award for Cat Ballou.
For the best performance by an actor in 1965, the nominees are Oscar Werner in Ship of Fools, Richard Burton in The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, Rod Steiger in The Pawnbroker, Laurence Olivier in Othello, and Lee Marvin in Cat Ballou. And the winner is Lee Marvin in Cat Ballou.
While both John and Dwayne acknowledged it wasn't Lee's best performance, they agreed the award likely honored his entire body of work. Dwayne shared a humorous story about Lee jokingly threatening to trip Rod Steiger, a fellow nominee, if he won the Oscar instead. When Lee won, his acceptance speech was famously short, quipping that half the award belonged to a horse. Later that night, Lee spotted Steiger in tears at a red light, playfully tapping on his car window with the Oscar, showcasing his mischievous sense of humor. In the end, Dwayne praised Lee Marvin as a unique icon whose legacy lives on in unexpected ways. What do you think of Lee Marvin's personality? Did Burt Lancaster truly threaten to throw Marvin down a cliff? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.